Welcome to Minnesota Sports Talk. I'm Josh Coan.
I'm Carter Burquest.
Today we're talking about the Minnesota Wild. Wow, it seems like the summer kind of flew by really quick. It's already hockey season. Let's talk about the Minnesota Wild. Let's get ready for this next season. Last year they had a great regular season and then fizzled out in the playoffs again. It seems like that happens a lot with those guys, or at least even, I guess, everyone in Minnesota. But what are your expectations for the Wild this year? Playoffs, couple rounds, Stanley Cup. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think it's what you said. I expect them to make the playoffs. I expect them to have a great regular season. And it's all going to come down to how they can play when the games actually start to matter in May and June. That's what's all going to matter. I think, especially around here and with Boudreau and Chuck Fletcher, and they've come out and said it as well, that this year it's the cup is what matters. We don't care about the playoffs anymore. A few straight years of the playoffs is kind of getting old here. We're ready to actually make a run and do something. So, I do think we have the pieces in place. I do think we're good enough. I just think it comes down to getting hot at the right time, being able to play playoff hockey, and not kind of fall apart when it kind of comes to that. So my expectations are playoffs for sure. If it's not the playoffs, it's a major failure. And then beyond that, I do think we at least need to win a round or two to kind of keep the core of the team together. Otherwise, I do think it's really going to get blown up next year.
Yeah, it's really frustrating, especially in Minnesota, because we're not even used to really making the playoffs in a lot of sports. So it's like we should be so excited that they've made the playoffs year after year after year. But it's weird because here we do get bored of just the playoffs. Like, it didn't take long before people got really frustrated and bored with Dennis Green, kicked him out of here because all he did was make the playoffs. Same with Flip Saunders, his first time here. All he did was make the playoffs. And people just got bored with it and said we need to do something completely different. But it's kind of nice to have somebody that we know we can make the playoffs, because like you said, it'd be a complete disaster if the Wild didn't make the playoffs. But making the playoffs doesn't get me that excited for the Wild. I need to see more. I want to see them win a series or two in the playoffs. Quite honestly, a first or second round exit would seem like a disappointment for this Wild team, for the way that we've been watching them, supposedly get better every year, and we think next year is going to be our year, and we're just waiting for that. And I don't know, I'm not a great enough hockey mind to know what they can do, X's and O's to finish, other than just the playoffs. Hockey's more difficult. Every sport, when you get to the playoffs, the level raises, and they don't seem to be able to rise to that level to play playoff hockey. And I don't know what it is, if it's coaching, if it's, I honestly don't know what gets them to that level. Toughen up? I don't know. Do you have any idea of what they can do to play better hockey in the playoffs? I don't even know what to do.
Yeah, they just got to finish better. They have a tough time finishing. They don't have that guy that can get them a goal when they need a goal. Last year against St. Louis, we just couldn't get past Jake Allen. Extremely frustrating. We did outplay them, in air quotes, as you'd like to say, but we just couldn't finish. And so we need to get in the playoffs, and then we need to be able to have guys that can finish 5-on-5 hockey and play well. There wasn't any major additions. We lost Eric Halla, which is a loss, not a major loss, but a loss nonetheless. He'd definitely be nice to have. No major additions in the offseason. Pominville's gone, which is nice to get off the books. But I just do think this year's all about the playoffs and all about what happens then, because I think people are tired of making the playoffs and just folding then. So be able to score and finish in the playoffs is going to be a big thing. Developing guys that can score on their own is going to be huge. So that's kind of what I think going into the season here.
So if we were to make a prediction really early on as the season's getting started, is it a Stanley Cup or bust? And are they actually going to do that?
It is. I do think it is Stanley Cup or bust for this team. I think that's their expectation. Do I think they can make the Stanley Cup? I hate to say no, because then they're going to end up making the Stanley Cup, and I can look back and say that I said no. But I don't know that they have the right pieces in place to do so. I do think they're a good hockey team. I just don't know that they're great unless they can start to play really well. Hockey's a little bit weird like that. If they can play well at the right time, I think anybody can make the Cup.
I agree. They got to bring a Stanley Cup. Otherwise, this season's going to feel like a disappointing year. Again, do I think they can do it? I don't know why not, but I have to see more from them before I can pick them to actually win the Cup for me. So, want to know what you guys think? What are your expectations for the Wild this year? Is it Cup or bust? And can they actually do it? Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
See ya.